Najla Humaira S.
My name is Puti Fairuz A.
My name is Shafira Nissa M, absent number 29.
My name is Sheridan Soefa A, and I am absent number 30.
I will explain about factors or background of September 30th movement of Indonesian Communist Party incident. First, there was a split in the military. Because of that, resulting in the division of factions aimed at competing for power and influence. It included a small number who also act as Communist Party of Indonesia sympathizers. Second, influenced by the Cold War. The coup agenda carried out by Communist Party of Indonesia in Indonesia was inseparable from the side effect of the Cold War between Soviet Union communists and United States capitalists. Whereas in the 1960s, President Sukarno was more inclined to side with the Soviet bloc, while the General Council was assumed to be more pro to the West Bloc. So there was speculation to get rid of President Sukarno at that time. Third, Indonesia's economic condition. In 1965, Indonesian economy was in a slump. The increase in inflation by 650% made people doubt the leadership of President Sukarno. This resulted in Indonesia's economic condition getting weaker. As a result, many people live in hunger and poverty and blame the leadership of President Sukarno. Fourth, Nasakom's ideological dominance. The ideology of Nasakom during Sukarno presidency was applied in balanced way since the Guide Democracy period 1959 to 1965. The implementation of Nasakom ideology actually became a way for PKI in its efforts to change Pancasila ideology to communist in Indonesia. So, in a conclusion, since the first general election in 1955, PKI has grown into a big party. So, it wanted to seize power in Indonesia when President Sukarno was dead.
There are several objectives of the 30th of September movement PKI are as follows. The first is to destroy the unitary state of the Republic of Indonesia or NKRI and make it a communist state. The second is getting rid of the army and seizing government power. The third was to realize the ideals of the PKI, namely to make communist ideology in a forming government system that was used as a tool to create a communist society. The fourth, to replace the Pancasila ideology with a communist ideology. And lastly, the coup against President Sukarno could not be separated from the series of activists of international communism.
And then I also want to explain about some figures involved in the G30S PKI. First name is Dipa Nusantara Aidit, or known as the Aidit. When the Aidit found the G30S, not many PKI officials knew. Aidit never invited Politburo members to the G30S preparatory meeting, but there is no PKI person dared to oppose the Aidit. As chairman of the Central Committee of the PKI, he was number one and very powerful. Aidit was considered a great service to the PKI. Aidit succeeded in bringing the PKI to fourth place in 1955 elections. By 1965, PKI cadres and sympathizers had reached 3 million people. The PKI became the largest communist party after Russia and China. When the G30S disbanded, Aidit fled to Jakarta. He was later arrested by the army while in Solo. Soldiers took him to an old hall at the military headquarters in Boyolali. There, Aidit was shot dead with an AK-47. Aidit's action created the PKI to the destruction and suffering. It is estimated that around 1 million PKI cadres and members died because they were thought to have participated in the G30S action. Second figure is Syam Zaman. Syam is the head of the Special Bureau, a secret institution within the Indonesian Communist Party or PKI. Syam was tasked with recruiting soldiers who supported the PKI. No one knows the actions of the Special Bureau other than the chairman of the PKI Central Committee, then Aidit. Aidit coordinated a lot with Syam during the preparations of the G30S. Syam was also the one who encouraged Aidit to move quickly. He gave assurances that the support troops were ready. Syam seemed to lead this movement. The PKI G30S military officers, such as Lieutenant Colonel Untung, Brigadier General Supriyanto, and Colonel Latif were under his command. In fact, what Syam had stated about the G30S military support didn't exist. In a short time, the G30S was destroyed by Suharto. Syam was detained in the Cipinang prison and executed in 1986.
4. Brigadier General Suparjo. He was the one who reported the arrest of the general to President Sukarno. He also received orders from President Sukarno to stop the movement and avoid bloodshed. However, he was accused of participating in planning the kidnapping of a number of high-ranking army officers because Suparjo had an important role as spokesman for the September 13th movement to meet Sukarno and explain this action. 5. Colonel Abdul Latif is one of the main officers of the September 13th movement. 6. Nyoto is the deputy chairman of the PKI and he's very close to DNID.
At around 3:15 a.m. on 1st October, 7 detachments of troops and trucks and buses dispatched by Lieutenant Colonel Untung Syamsuri or Commander of Cakrabirawa, the Presidential Guard, comprising troops from the Cakrabirawa Regiment, Presidential Guard, the Diponegoro, Central Java, and Brawijaya, East Java Division, left the movement's base at Halim Perdana Kusuma Air Force Base, the south of Jakarta, to kidnap 7 generals, all members of the Army General Staff. 3 of the intended victims, namely Minister or Commander of the Army Lieutenant General Ahmad Yani, Major General M.T. Haryono, and Brigadier General Dei Panjaitan, were killed at their homes, while 3 more, namely Major General Suprapto, Major General S. Parman, and Brigadier General Sutoyo, were taken alive. Meanwhile, the main target, Coordinating Minister of Defense and Security and Armed Force Chief of Staff, General Abdul Haris Nasution, managed to escape the kidnap attempt by jumping over a wall into the Iraqi embassy garden. However, his aide, First Lieutenant Pierre Tandian, was captured after being mistaken for Nasution in the dark. Nasution's 5-year-old daughter, Ade Irma Suryani Nasution, was shot by the assault group and died on 6 October. In addition, a police officer guarding Nasution's neighbor, Police Chief Brigadier Colonel Satsu Trubun, was shot and killed by the kidnapping group. A final victim was Albert Naiborhu, General Panjaitan's nephew, who was killed during the raid on the general's home. The generals and the bodies of their dead colleagues were taken to a place known as Lubang Buaya near Halim, where those still alive were shot. The bodies of all the victims were then thrown down a disused while near the base.
The September 30th movement of the Indonesian Communist Party was carried out of October 1st, 1965. The first step was to neutralize the troops around the Medan Merdeka area, which were used by the Indonesian Communist Party in the September 30th move. The troops came from members of Battalion 503, Brawijaya, and members of Battalion 545, Diponegoro. On October 1st, 1945, the Army Command Troops Regiment, managed to reoccupy the RRY Center building, the telecommunication building, and secured the entire area of Medan Merdeka. On the same day, the city of Jakarta was successfully recontrolled by the Indonesian Communist Party, and the force of the September 30th movement of the Indonesian Communist Party rebellion were successfully suppressed. On October 3rd, 1965, Indonesian Communist Party troops managed to find the bodies of the victims who were buried in an old well in Lubang Buaya village. On October 4, 1965, the removal of the new body was successfully carried out, and it was taken to the Army Central Hospital, now it called S.Pd. Gatot Subroto. The next day coincided with Indonesian Communist Party birthday on October 5, 1965. The bodies of the top army officers were buried in the Kalibata Heroes Cemetery. The 11 Maret Order, or ordinally as Super Semar, contained Sukarno's order to Suharto as commander of the Command for Security and Order Operations to take all action deemed necessary to overcome the bad security situation at that time. On February 23, 1967, President Sukarno, as the Supreme Commander of the Armed Force of the Republic of Indonesia, handed over his power to General Suharto as the holder of MPRS Decree Number 9, MPRS 1966. Thus ended the reign of President Sukarno.
And then I want to explain about the incident of the September 30 movement of the Indonesian Communist Party, or known as the PKI, in 1965 in Indonesia. It had a negative impact on any aspects of life. The impacts in the political field are: first is President Sukarno lost his authority in the eyes of the Indonesian people. Second, Indonesia's political conditions are increasingly unstable due to conflicts in high state institutions. Third is the government's inability to make a decision to dissolve the Indonesian Communist Party has caused public anger. Fourth, the emergence of large-scale demonstrations by the people and students demanding the disbandment of the PKI and its mass organizations. Their demands are known as Tritura, or the demands of the three peoples. In Tritura, there's 3 points. First is the dissolution of the PKI. Second point is cleaning of the Dwikora cabinet and PKI elements. And the third point is decrease in the price of goods. And then back to the impacts in the political field. Fifth number, the government held a reshuffle of the Dwikora cabinet to become the Dwikora cabinet, which was strengthened by the appointment of a cabinet consisting of 100 ministers, so that it was known as the Cabinet of 100 Ministers. However, the formation of the cabinet was opposed by the United States and many people, because in the cabinet there were still ministers who were pro-PKI or supported the PKI. So they took the streets by flattening the tires of the car of the candidate for the ministers who would be inaugurated. The action killed a student named Arif Rahman Hakim. The death of Arif Rahman Hakim led to larger demonstration by Indonesian students and held in Jakarta and other areas. Sixth point is on February 25, 1966, President Sukarno disbanded the Indonesian Student Action Unit because it was deemed to have triggered demonstrations and took to the streets by Indonesian youth and students. On March 11, 1966, a cabinet meeting was held to discuss the national political crisis. However, this trial couldn't be completed properly due to the presence of unknown troops outside the building who were deemed to have endangered President Sukarno's safety. Also, on March 11, 1966, President Sukarno issued the Order of March 11, or known as Super SMAN, in which President Sukarno gave orders to Lieutenant General Suharto to take actions that were deemed important and necessary to ensure security. And order the running of the government and the running of revolution and ensure security, personal security and authority of the president. And the impacts in the economic field are: in the field of economy, the G30S PKI incident has resulted in high inflation followed by an increase in the price of goods, even exceeding 600% a year. To overcome this problem, the government issued two economic policies, namely, carry out the valuations of old rupiah into new rupiah from 1,000 rupiah to 100 rupiah. The price of food quadrupled, but this policy led to an increase in the price of goods, which was difficult to control.
There are 6 versions regarding the parties that are considered as the partners of the September 30th movement. This version will certainly cause controversy as to what actually happened that day. The first version is the September 30th movement was an event that occurred as a result of internal army problems. This theory is supported by Ben Anderson, Wartenim, and Kohn Hostapel. Then the second version is the September 30th movement was masterminded by the United States Intelligence Service or CIA. This theory is supported by Peter Dale Scott. Then the third version, the September 30th movement was a meeting between the interests of Britain and the United States to overthrow Sukarno's power. This theory is supported by Greg Polgrain. Then, next version, the September 30th movement was masterminded by Sukarno in order to eliminate opposition force. This theory is supported by Anthony Day. The fifth version mentioned that there is no single cast and big screenplay in the event of the September 30th movement. This theory is supported by John Ledge. The sixth or the last version mentioned that the mastermind behind the September 30th movement was the Indonesian Communist Party. According to this theory, Indonesian Communist Party figures were responsible for the coup by using elements of the army. This theory is supported by Nugroho Noto Susanto and Ismail Saleh.